Right, good day, grade 10 learners. Welcome to our first online mathematics lesson. I am Sikhulile Ncube. This lesson is brought to you by the Gauteng Department of Education. Are you happy to be in grade 10? I really hope so. You are in the FET phase now, okay? So I'm going to be doing these lessons with you, and we are going to be together in this. Right, what do I expect from you, grade 10s? I expect you to have your resources with you. It means you must have your book with you, you must have your calculator with you, and you are ready to learn. You must be ready to learn, grade 10s. Right, don't just sit there and watch me. You have to be participating. Are we together? And then what else? We have a team of teachers this side, and also in the classroom, all of us, we are here to assist you. Feel free. Feel free. And then remember the WhatsApp line 064 748 8913. Please do send us questions. You must not just sit there and you're getting confused, you don't know what to do. Send questions. We are going to assist you. Okay? This is our first lesson, grade 10s. Let's start. What are we going to learn today? Some of the things are not new. It will be right like revision, isn't it? Right, we're going to look at factorization. Factorization, we're going to look at the highest common factor. How do you factorize using the highest common factor? How do we factorize trinomials, the quadratic expressions, and the factorization by grouping in pairs? That's what we're going to look at today. Okay, let's start our lesson. At the end of lesson, grade 10s, you should be able to what? To factorize algebraic expressions with focus in the following concepts, which is the common factor, right? The trinomials in the form x squared plus or minus bx plus or minus c. Okay, and then after that, we're going to look at grouping in pairs. This is what we're going to be looking at today. Please make sure that you are ready. I'm giving you work to do. If I say do something, you do that. Okay? Right. You don't learn mathematics by listening. You listen, just listen, you will learn 5%. But if you do the work, you're going to understand 95% of the work. So I'm encouraging you, grade 10s, be part of the lesson and do the activities that I'm going to give you. We learn by doing, not by listening. Doing in capital letters. Right, okay. We did factorization in grade 8 and 9, isn't it? We're going to revisit, we're going to use that in today's lesson. And then we did algebraic expressions. We're going to apply our knowledge on those too. Right, okay. Before we move any further, grade 10s, let's do this baseline activity. Right, I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Right, question 1, question 2, question 3, all of them in 2 minutes. Please, if you need more time, send us your WhatsApp messages. Okay, it's not a WhatsApp group, but you send to the line 064 748 8913. Just tell us you need more time, then we'll extend. But 2 minutes, let's do the baseline activity. Let's try. Well done, grade 10s. Did you manage to finish your work? Please send us your input. Send us your input 064 748 8913. Okay? Even your work, we would like to see your work. Okay? It's not about questions only. Even your work, please do send us your work. If you can take a picture and send us your work on this line. Right, now let's do this together. Grade 10s. Did you manage to get the answers correct? Let's mark our work. Let's mark our work. Right, the first one. Identify the highest common factor given the following terms. Right, we have 8x, we have 4x squared, we have 2x cubed. Right, I'm going to concentrate on the coefficients. Coefficients are these numbers before the variables. Right now, we have 8, 4, and 12. What's the highest common factor between those? It should be 4, isn't it? And then look at the variables with the base x, x squared, x cubed. Right, if you check there, for the variables there with the base x, we take the power with the lowest exponent. So in this case, it will be x, because x is like x to the power 1, isn't it? To the exponent 1. Okay, so now we're going to we have what? X as the highest common factor. If you look at the powers there. Okay, so our highest common factor is going to be 4x. Can you mark that if you got it correctly? Right. What about these two terms? These are two terms. Do you see that? Okay, because of the bracket there. Becomes a term. This becomes a term. And then this becomes a term. Do they have anything common? What is that? The bracket x plus 2 is the highest common factor. Do you see that? So it is very, very important to be able to identify the bracket as a factor or a common factor. It's very, very important. We're going to use that in the next things that we're going to do. Right, so the highest common factor there is x plus 2, because we can see it here. We can see it there. Do you see that? Okay? Right. Please send us your questions if you don't understand. Send us your work. Okay. Please do that. We want to engage and we interact. Factorize fully 2xy squared plus xy. What do we have in common there? What do we have in common? This side and this side. How many terms do you see there? There are two terms, isn't it? Right, factorize fully. Right, so xy is the highest common factor there. And then we factorize fully. I'm going to emphasize this because I've seen this a lot, this mistake a lot when it comes to grade 10 mathematics. Okay? Right, whereby we're dividing this by xy, we're dividing this by xy, and then here people remain with xy, and then they think that is 2y because they've divided xy by xy. Please don't make that mistake. Xy divided by xy is 1. This is wrong. Okay, xy divided by xy is 1. If you have two terms, you are factorizing two terms in your bracket, you must have how many terms? You must have two terms in your bracket. You can't have one. Okay, like here we have two terms in the bracket. Please check that. Don't make that mistake. I'm going to give you another example with such a situation. Okay, right. Now, expand x plus 2 and x minus 3. Expand x plus 2 times x minus 3. What do we mean by saying expand? It means you're finding what? The product. What is the product? The answer we get after multiplying. So if we're expanding x plus 2 and x minus 3, we are saying x plus 2 times x minus 3. Okay? Expanding, what are we finding? The product. The product, what are we doing? We are multiplying. So multiply those two brackets. And what do we get? Okay, you must get this. How did we get that? Right, we are going to say x times, we're distributing this x in the second bracket. So x times x is x squared. X times negative 3 is negative 3x. 2 times x is positive 2x. And then 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. And then these are like terms. We can simplify them. What is negative 3x plus 2x? Is negative x, negative 1x. So it becomes x squared minus x minus 6. You see how we got that? Okay? What type of a polynomial do you get from the answer in 3a? What type of a polynomial is this? What do we call it? A trinomial. Good. A trinomial, great terms. Because it has how many terms? 1, 2, 3. Remember, the terms are separated by plus or minus. 3 terms. Trinomial. Tri means 3. Triangle. Okay. Trinomial. Triangle, 3 angles. Trinomial, 3 terms. Tri is to do with 3. Okay, remember that. And then that's a trinomial. Okay. I want you to observe something, great tense, right? If we expand, we said we're finding what? The product. If we multiply this and this, we got this. You see that? We multiplied, we expanded there. Okay? Expanding, we found the product. What about if you are moving from this product to its factors? What are we doing? We are factorizing. That is factorization. So factorization is the opposite of finding the product. Factorization is the opposite of expanding. Okay? Factorization, we're introducing the brackets. Expanding or finding the product, we are removing the brackets. Do you see that? Please remember that. Factorization, we are factorization, we are introducing the brackets, and then expanding, we are removing the brackets. Factorization is the opposite of expanding or finding the product. Okay? Right. Given the expression, I want us to go back to the basic way of factorizing. I know that we did this long back and we no longer do it, but I want us to go back to that basic method. I'm going to remind you, and then as time moves on, that method will disappear. But I want us to go back to that basic method. Do you remember how we factorize using the highest common factor? Okay, let's try to do it together. Given the expression 3bx minus 6, the most important thing, very, very important, identify the terms. Right, let's answer this question. How many terms do you see here? 3bx minus 6, how many terms do you see? It must be 2 terms. Okay, these are 2 terms. Okay, and then do we have any highest common factor between these 2 terms? 3bx and minus 6, negative 6. Do we have any highest common factor? Yes, we have. What is it? The highest common factor is 3. Now, what do we do to factorize this? Anyone who remembers that? We factor out 3, the highest common factor. We take it outside the bracket. Like this, we put it 3 outside the bracket. And then what do we do after that? We divide every term by what? By that highest common factor. So we're going to divide 3bx divided by 3. We divide 3bx by 3, and then negative 6 divided by 3. Okay? That's the basic way of factorizing using the highest common factor. You see that? Let me just show you that. So factor out the highest common factor and divide each term by it. I mean, do this. Now, let's try to finish off that thing. Try to finish off this. Try to factor out your 3, and then you finish off the thing. Factorize fully. Let's try that. I'm going to give you 1 minute. Try to factorize that. Finish it off. Welcome back, greetings. Thank you very much. We have a learner from Fosloras. Thank you very much for your input. We understand that you did not have enough time to do the baseline activity. We really appreciate your input. For the other activities, I will try to give you more time. Okay, please, if the time is not enough, do tell us. So do tell me so that we can assist each other. But I really hope you understood. Right? Did you understand the explanation? Okay, please, if you did not understand the explanation, send us the messages so that we can go back and revisit those things. Remember, also at the end of the lesson, we're going to have a session where we're going to be answering questions, okay? But I also want you to ask questions as we move on. Don't wait for the last part of the lesson. Okay, thank you very much for that. And then, now, divide this by 3. That's what I was explaining here. What is 3 divided by 3? We get 1 there. We remain with bx. And then what is 6 divided by 3? You get 2 there. So what do you remain with in the bracket? Bx minus 2. Then we factorize, we get our answer like that. Do you see that? Okay? We had 2 terms initially here. Now we have 2 terms in the bracket. Please don't forget that. Don't want to see that common mistake that I talked about. I don't want to see that. I've seen it a lot, so I don't want to see that. Okay? Right. Now, okay? So what I explained, let me just quickly go through this because we talked about it. We said factorization is the opposite of what? Of expanding or the product. Remember that. Product, we are multiplying. Okay? These two things are opposite of each other. Okay? Right, if you expand, if you go back, right, let's say you make a mistake. Try to expand and see if you're going to get the original thing. If I try to expand this, what is 3 times bx is 3bx. You see, you're getting 3bx. Okay, what is 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. You can check your answer after what? Factorization, and see if you're getting the original expression. Okay, right, now I'm going to give you, I think 3 minutes is going to be enough. 1 minute for A, 1 minute for B, 1 minute for C. Let's try these cretans, and then after that we'll mark our work. Let's do it. Welcome back, grade 10s. Did you manage to get all the answers correct? Excellent, excellent. Right, now, remember it's about trying. Okay? I'll be very, very happy if you tried. That is the most important thing. Okay? Right, now, let's go to our solutions. Right, what did you do with A? What is the highest common factor? There are two terms here, 2x and 8. What is the highest common factor? It is 2. Right, we put 2 outside the bracket like this, and then we divide what is inside by it. But if you can do your factorization without this step, perfect. Don't stress about this step. I'm just showing you so that those who are still having problems with it, they can learn. But if you can do it direct without doing this step, please do so. Please do so. Right, now, we're going to divide by 2, and then what we get 2 divided by 2, which is 1. We remain with 1x there. And then 8 divided by 2, we get 4. And then what do we have inside the bracket? X plus 4. And then outside the bracket will be 2. And then we have factorized. Please do mark your work. Okay? Then let's go to the next one. What is the highest common factor there? Between 3x squared and 3? It is 3, isn't it? Right, it is 3. So what do? We divide by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. We remain with 1x squared. Okay. And then 3 divided by 3, what do we get? We get 1. We don't get 0, grade 10s. We get 1. Okay, we get 1. Please don't, I've talked about this, isn't it? I said you mustn't forget that same numbers or same items, when you divide them, they give you 1, not 0. Some people use cancel. They say cancel at the top, cancel at the bottom. Then that's why you end up saying it disappears. No. It doesn't disappear. It's 1. Right, so we remain with x squared plus 1 inside the bracket. What did I say, grade 10s? I said if you have 2 terms here, you must have 2 terms in the bracket. Let's try to expand this. What is 3 times x squared? Is 3x squared. What is 3 times positive 1? Is 3. Do you see that? If I'm expanding, I'm getting my original expression. Because I've seen people now, they think that 3 divided by 3 disappears, and then they remain with this. And then, but if you say 3 times x squared, you're just getting 3x squared. You're not getting 3x squared plus 3. You see that? Please don't make that mistake. Don't make that mistake, grade 10s, okay? Right, I'm happy now that I've expressed that and I've emphasized it. And they are not going to make that mistake again. Right, now let's go to C. How many terms do you see, grade 10s here? How many terms? Do you see 1, 2, 3, 4 terms? No. This is 1 term, isn't it? This is 1 term. Remember that. This is another term. Okay, so there are 2 terms here. Right, do we have a common factor? What is the common factor? The bracket x minus 1. Do you see that? So we can divide. Remember, I said that if you can skip this step, it's fine. Do that. Skip this step and go straight to your answer, which is perfect. Right, now we divide by that, and then what do you get? You get x minus 1 and 2 plus x. What people do, if you have a common bracket like this, you just take the common bracket, this one, it forms your first bracket, which is this. And then this number, and then this one. It forms the second bracket. Done. Please try that. Remember, we learn by repeating things. Repetition. Okay? You can learn something once. Try it. What I've told you today, after this, try it. Try it on your own. Okay? Right. Changing the sign inside the bracket. This concept is liked by examiners a lot. You'll never find a question paper without this concept. It's very, very important. Very, very important. Changing the sign inside the bracket. Okay. State if it is true or false. Let's do this together. You don't need to write it down. You can say it there in your classroom. Okay. Right. Is this true or false? X plus y is equal to y plus x. True or false? Say it in the classroom. It is true. Okay. Right. Which law is this? Which property is this? You did this in grade 9, in grade 8. This property is called the commutative property. Do you remember that? Right, we are saying that here you can say 3 plus 2, 2 plus 3 is the same thing. Check the sign. What is the sign of x here? It's positive. What's the sign of x here? Positive. What's the sign of y here? Positive. What's the sign of y here? Positive. So the signs are still the same on the left hand side, on the right hand side. The signs are the same. Just look at the signs. They will guide you. Okay, next statement. Is this one true? Remember I said look at the sign. Look at the signs. Is this statement true? Yes, it is true. Right, let's check y. What is the sign of y on the left hand side? It's negative. On the right hand side is negative. The sign of x, positive. The sign of x, positive. Do you see that? So this is true. Let's look at the next one. True or false? Right, how many people said true? How many people said false? I think this is false. It is false. Yes, it is false. Why? X, let's check x here. What's the sign of x? Is positive. This side is negative. You see? Now the sign of x is no longer the same. Y here is negative. Y here is positive. So the sign of what? Of y is no longer the same. Remember, the commutative property does not apply to minusing. It's only positive, adding and subtracting. Adding and multiplying, not subtracting. Okay? Right, we can't say 3 minus 2 is equal to 2 minus 3. No, they are not equal. 3 minus 2 is 1. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. So those are two different things. But what about this one? What do you think? Are these two equal? True or false? It should be true. Do you believe it? You don't believe me? Right, let's see. Now, let's try to expand this. What is negative 1 times y? You're getting negative y. What is negative 1 times negative x? You're getting positive x. Do you see that? Now, positive x this side, positive x this side. Negative y this side, negative y this side. So this statement is actually true. So this is what we're going to apply today now. Okay? Changing the sign inside the bracket. Okay, we have said that these two are true. Do you see that? We're saying these two are true. This and this are true. Are equal. These two are equal. Now, if you check, it's like this is x minus y. This side is y minus x. It's like we swapped these things around. X minus y, y minus x. So you swap these things around. And then after swapping them around, what do? You put a negative outside. Okay? Right, let's just do a short one. Say 2 minus x is equals to, let's swap these things around. It becomes what? Becomes x minus 2. And then to make them equal, what do? We put a negative outside. That's very, very important. Now, let's say we have brackets that are not the same. Okay, the other one is 2 minus x. The other one is x minus 2. We can make them the same by swapping them around and putting a negative outside. Let's see if we can apply that. Let's see. Let's try to factorize this. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. I want you to try. It's an example. I want you to do it for you, but I know you can try before I even explain. I'm going to give you an activity after this, but let's try this. Just try to apply what we talked about. Okay. Right, well done, grade 10s. Well done, well done, well done. Right, now remember WhatsApp line, grade 10s, 064-748-8913. Please do send us your work. If you don't have questions, send us your work. Take a picture and send us your work. If you have questions, please do send us those questions. And even any input that can make us improve our lessons, please do so. Right, okay. Right, now what did you do? What did we do here? Right, 2 minus x and x minus 2. Do you see that? They almost look the same, but they're totally different because 2 minus x is not the same as x minus 2. Now, can we make them look the same? Yes, we can, by changing the sign inside the bracket. So now we swap them around. But when you swap them around, we have to put -1 outside. So this -1 is going to actually affect this +3. What is positive times negative? It's negative. Do you see that? So it's going to change and become -3, which is going to be like this. You see that? Now it has changed. It's now 2 minus x. And then here it has changed the sign to -3. Please be careful. When you factor out the negative, it's going to change the sign of the coefficient. Take note of that. We can take out a minus in order to create a common bracket. Now we have created our common bracket here, which is 2 minus x. And then now let's factorize that. We get that. I'm not going to show you the long method now. Okay, we did our long method. Do you remember that? Okay, right, now I'm going to show you the shorter way. So we factor out 2 minus x. If we divide this whole thing by 2 minus x, we get 2x. If we divide this whole thing by 2 minus x, we get -3, which is that. Okay, you can try the long method on your own, maybe if you did not get that. But I think now we can move on without doing that step. Okay, right, and then now, some people managed to get the answer in the previous question that I gave you. Like I said, it was an example. I was supposed to to explain, to give the answer to you, but you have tried. Some people did not get it, but now this one, everyone must get it. Let's do it. 2 minutes.
Do you know that you are different?
Right, welcome back, grade 10s. Remember our WhatsApp line 064-748-8913. Right, let's mark our work. Right, these brackets, they're almost the same. 1 minus x, x minus 1. Now, how do we make them to be the same? We swap them around, the 1 and x, and then we put the minus outside the bracket. So let's swap this one around. It becomes x minus 1. And then this minus is going to affect the positive 2 here and make it what? Negative 2. Okay, and then if it was negative here, it was going to change and become what? Positive. Okay, right. Now, the brackets are now the same. Now, we can what? We can factor out the common bracket, which is x minus 1. And then these two, they form the second bracket, which is x minus 2. Remember, I said you can do the long method where you divide each term by the highest common factor, and then you must get that. Okay? Right. Now, let's move on to something else, grade 10s. Remember, we said we are doing the highest common factor and then the quadratic expressions in the form x squared plus or minus bx plus or minus c. Let me try to emphasize these grade 10s. When you're factorizing these trinomials in this form, there are different methods. And I'm not going to explain all the methods. I'm going to choose the most common one. But if you have your own method, it's still okay. Okay? You may learn this other method. I'm going to use the most common method, and so that we can what? We can cover a lot of things. Just I'll use one method. Right. I want you to take note of this. If you factorize trinomials in this form, the quadratic expressions, you will get two brackets. A binomial times a binomial in the form x plus a. Remember, a can be negative. It's not like every time it must be a positive answer. A can be negative, b can be negative. So it's x plus a, x plus b. It can be x minus 3, x minus 2. It can be x plus 5, x minus 2. Something like that. Okay, a and b can be negative. Right, now, let's expand this. I want you to observe something. Let's expand this. If you expand, like distribute the first bracket, okay, into the second bracket, you will get this. X times x, x squared. X times b, bx. A times x, ax. This one. A times b, what is ab. And then we have something common here, which is x. We factor it out, which is like this. If you check, this is exactly the same as a x squared plus, let me just use plus only, plus bx plus c. B is the coefficient of x. C is the constant. So if you check here, AB is the constant. If you multiply these two, A and B, you get the constant of the expression. If you add A and B, you get this you get the coefficient of x. Are we together? So when you're looking for factorizing like this, you look for the factors so that if you multiply them, they give you the constant term. And then if you add them, they give you the coefficient of x. Do you see where this thing is coming from? Please don't forget that. So if you multiply them, they give us the constant term. If we add them, they give us the coefficient of x. You look for those things, then you'll be able to factorize. Very, very easy. Okay? Right, let's go to an example. I'm going to explain the example. I left you with about 20 minutes. Let me try to explain. Okay? So x squared plus 7x plus 12. What does this mean? It means that if we multiply a and b, we must get 12. And then if we if we add a and b, we must get 7. So what are those vectors? That's so that if we add them, they give us 12. If we multiply them, they give us 12. If we add them, they give us 7. Let's look for the vectors of 12. Let's look for those vectors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 12. Just pick any two that can give us 7 if we add them. Because 1 times 12, remember 1 times 12 is 12. 2 times 6 is 12. 3 times 4 is 12. Let's pick any two. Can 1 and 12 give us 7? No. Can 2 and 6 give us 7? No. Can 3 and 4 give us 7? Yes. But let's see. Let's try it now. And then you use this method. You write your first term like this. The first term is x. The factors of x squared is only x and x. X times x is x squared. You write them like this. Okay? And then for our last term, we said we're going to pick 3 and 4. Okay? You can write your 3 there, and then you write your 4 there. What's the next step? You cross multiply them like this. 3 times x is what? Is 3x. Okay? And then x times 4 is 4x. If we add 3x and 4x, do we get 7x? Yes, we get 7x. So this is the combination we want. 3 times 4 is 12. And then 3 plus 4 is 7. 3x plus 7 plus 4x is 7x. So these are our factors. X plus 3, just read them as like that, and then x plus 4. You just put those things inside the bracket, and then you write them like this. Done. This is your answer. X plus 3, x plus 4. Okay? Right. Using that, I want you to try these two. Okay? A and B. I'm going to give you 3 minutes. I'm going to give you 2.5 minutes for A and 2.5 minutes for B. Okay? And then after that, we mark our work. Let's do that. 5 minutes. 2.5 for A, 2.5 for B, which makes it 5 minutes. Let's try. Welcome back, grade 10s. I really hope you managed to do these two in these 5 minutes. Thank you very much. We got input from Kenneth Masegele Secondary School. We'll try our best that we assist you. I really hope that you manage to get assistance through our WhatsApp chats. Right, okay. Now, let's continue with our lesson. X squared plus 4x minus 12. Right, what does this mean? The other thing that I forgot to emphasize that. What is the meaning of this negative? What is the meaning of this positive? Right, we are going to look for the factors of 12. The two numbers that, if we multiply them, they give us 12, isn't it? But this negative means that the other factor is negative and the other factor is positive. Because if you multiply negative times positive, you get negative, isn't it? So this guides you. So it means the other factor is going to be negative and the other factor is going to be positive. And then if it is positive here, it means the bigger factor is the one which is positive. So the coefficient of x takes the sign of the bigger factor. The coefficient of x takes the sign of the bigger factor. Now, let's look for those factors. Which factors can give us what? Negative 12. Let's start with 12. Right, which factors can give us 12 here? If we multiply them, it's 1 and 12. 1 times 12 is 12. 2 times 6. 2 times 6 is 12. And then 3 times 4. 3 times 4 is 12. Now, which combination can give us what? Can give us 4 here? It should be 6 and 2. It should be 6 and 2. Right. So which one is going to be what? Is going to be the negative one, which one is going to be positive one? I want to show you something. When the coefficient of x squared is 1 like this, you don't need to struggle. But I'm showing you the long method because we are going to have a situation where the coefficient of x squared is not 1. And then we have to use the long method. That's why I'm using the long method. But now, we can go direct from this. We are saying that these factors is the 6 and 2, and then the bigger one must be positive, and then the smaller one must be negative. Then you can straight away say you have factorized, and your answer is, let me write it here, x minus 2, and then x plus 6. Okay, right, done. But let me show you the longer method because I want you to learn this method before we go to what? We go to the situation where the coefficient of x squared is not 1. Okay? The shortcut will only work if the coefficient of x squared is what? Is 1. Isn't it? Please, okay? So if the coefficient of x is 1, don't lose marks. Just pick your factors, positive 6, negative 2, then you write them like this. You're done. You won't lose marks, okay? Now, let's go to our long method because I want you to understand this method. Right, so x for the first term, and then the last term, the constant, we picked 2 and 6. Cross multiply, then get 6x, and then cross multiply, then we get 2x. Right, 6x plus 2x, does it give us 4x? No. So it means the other one must be negative, like here, negative 2x. That's why I introduced the negative here. So it's going to be 6x minus 2x. Then you get what? You get your 4x like that, okay? So it means the factors are going to be 6 plus x. Do you see that? So you didn't need to what? To do this long method, isn't it? Okay. And then here, can you say x times 2 and get minus 2x? No, you can't. So you have to say times negative 2. Then we introduce the negative 2 there. And then becomes x minus 2. Do you see that? So we have x minus 2 and x plus 6. We have factorized. Okay? So now we have factorized. Sorry for that. This, let me write it underneath here so that it's clear. X minus 2. I wrote on top of my thing. X plus 6. We have factorized. Okay? Let's go to the next one. Right. 3x squared minus 3x minus 18. Remember, grade 10s, for factorization, you look out for the highest common factor before you do anything. That's what you have to do. So the highest common factor here is 3. So factor out 3, and then the blue bracket is what you remain with inside the bracket there. So it's going to be 3 outside the bracket. You have factored out 3. Then you factorize this. This means that one of the factors, the other factor is positive and the other one is negative. This means that the bigger factor is the one which is negative. The coefficient of x takes the sign of the bigger factor. Okay, so what are the factors of 6 that can give us what? -1. Right, we can list them down. 1 goes with 6, 2 goes with 3. So it can be 2 and 3. And then the bigger factor must be negative. So it's going to be -3 and +2. So it means our factors should be, let me write it here, x plus 2, x minus 3. Right, like I said, how do we do it in the using the longer method? We find our x there. Okay, my work looks clumsy there, but I think you can manage to see them. We have 3 and 2, and then multiply that. This method is going to assist us a lot in the next lessons. And then 2x. But now, 3x plus 2x will give us 5. So we say the other factor must be negative, the other one must be positive. The bigger factor must be negative because the coefficient of x is negative there. So we put a negative there. You see that? Okay? And then now we have -x. So what are the factors here? We have to introduce a negative here. So it becomes x minus 3, which is this. And then x plus 2, which is this part. And then we have factorized. This is your answer there. Okay? Right. Maybe a bit difficult for grade 10s, remember. But this is a very, very, very crucial concept. Factorizing a trinomial. Very, very crucial. Please revisit this. Revisit this. Okay? Right. Now, those two were good examples of how we factorize trinomials or quadratic expressions, especially those where the coefficient of x squared is 1. Next time, we're going to look at those where the coefficient of x squared is what? Is something else, maybe 2 or 3. How do we factorize such? Okay? And then those ones, we definitely have to use this. That's why I wanted to introduce this method, so that next time you can understand. Right. Now, let's quickly go through the factorizing by grouping. I'm not going to give you time to do activities. Please do listen and make sure that even after this lesson, you can even check the video again. Okay, you can even consult further. Okay, I'll be rushing through because we're left with what? With 5 minutes. Right, factorization by grouping in pairs. We have been doing it. If you check, you'll see that we have done it before in this lesson. Grouping is generally used to factorize an expression with more than 3 terms. Right, factorize this expression. Right, if you check, look at the first two. Do they have anything common? Yes, they have. What is it? It's y. The last two, do they have anything common? Yes, they have. Which is what? Which is x. So we can factorize the first two, and then we factorize the last two. Do you see that? Okay, let's do that. Now factorize the first two and the last two. First two will give us this. We factored out y. And then the last two gave us this. Now, do we have a common bracket? You see what we've been doing? We have, which is p plus 5q. You write that common bracket, and then this and this will give you your second bracket. Do you see that? We have been doing this. Please try to revisit that and try to look for past examination questions, and you revise. Okay? It's not about selecting term, first term and second term and third term and fourth term. No. You can even have first term and third term. Let me show you how. Right, now this one here, we can have this and this. They have something which is common here, which is p. Do you see that? And then this one and this one, they have something which is common, which is what? Which is 5q. Do you see that? Okay, so we can rearrange them so that this one is next to this one, then this one is next to this one. You see that? I've rearranged them. Now let's factorize the first two. It's going to be p and then y plus x, and then it's going to be 5q and then y plus x. Do you see that? Do we have a common bracket? Yes, we have the common bracket, which is y plus x. You write it down, and then which is this, and then the other bracket is going to be p plus 5q. Okay, remember the order of the bracket does not matter. Remember, a times b is equals to b times a. Same thing. Okay, so this bracket times this bracket is the same as this bracket times this bracket. So when you're multiplying, commutative property, remember that applies. Okay, all right. Now the activity. I wanted to give you this activity, but now let's try to utilize these few minutes. I'm going to explain again. Okay? Can we factorize the first two? Do they have something common? Yes, we can. What is it? Which is common there? I think 5x. Do they have something common here? Yes, y. Do you see that? Okay. Now, you can factorize the first two and get 5x outside. Then you get a minus b. And then factor out negative y. Negative y. Do you see that negative y? And then because of that, remember, grade 10, let me just remind you quickly. We have a plus by. And then you factor out negative y. You're saying negative ay divided by negative y, okay, plus by divided by negative y. You see that? And then negative divided by positive divided by negative, you are going to get negative. That's why we'll have y like this. Negative divided by negative is positive, so you're going to have a negative b. That's why we have this part here like that. You see that? Okay? Right, now we have a common bracket, which is this a minus b. And then these two will create the second bracket. I explained how we do this, isn't it? Right, okay. If you want to do the long method, you can do that. Okay? Even after rearranging, you can what? You can do that if you use this and this. A is common there. And then this one and this one. A B is common there. You can factorize. You'll get the same brackets if you check. The brackets are just the same. And then you get something like this. Okay? Right, the last part I was rushing, but I really hope that you'll get time to revisit this and then try to do it, okay, on your own. Right, and then this is the homework. This is the homework. Remember, you can just pause the video and write it down there. But before you do that, let me quickly go through to the summary. We've been answering our WhatsApp questions as we're moving along. So that part is covered, okay? It's covered. So we've been answering your WhatsApp questions. Thank you very much for your input. Right, let's just summarize our lesson. Right, we say that a negative 1 can be factored out to create a common bracket. Remember that? Okay, we talked about that. A quadratic trinomial factorizes into a product of two binomials. And then when factorizing, always start by looking for the highest common factor. Remember that, grade 10s. Okay? Right, remember that. I will take you to the slide for homework. But before we do that, let us close our lesson. Thank you very much for attending our lesson, grade 10s. I really hope that we're going to meet again when we're going to do more mathematics, more things in mathematics. Remember to take care of each other, and remember to sanitize, and remember to what? To social distance. Okay, remember to social distance. Right, while this, maybe you can pause the video here, and then you take the questions, write down the questions, and then at the end, what? You can wait for the other lesson for those who are doing physical sciences. Right, thank you very much, grade 10s, and let's meet again next week. Goodbye.